Hello everyone, welcome to Tutorials by Decade. My name is Decade, and today we're going to start creating our first enemy. Our first enemy is actually going to be a slime. He's going to move around the room, he's not going to leave the room, and if the player gets close enough, he'll chase the player until the player gets out of range. We're not doing any damage yet, but once we start doing damage, the slime will run into the player, cause damage, stop for a few seconds, and then chase the player again. So we're going to be working on just getting the animation set up in this one. If I were to make this one video, it would be a very, very long video. So I'm going to break it up into 2 or 3. But the ultimate goal is the slime is going to be chasing the player, and the player will be able to kill the slime. So in order to get started, we're going to go to our art folder. We're going to go to world. It is not in world, my mistake. We are actually going to go to enemies. So if we go to art, then I believe it's characters, and then enemies, and the slime is right here. If you haven't already done this, make sure you take this into consideration and pixels per unit to 16. Filter is point no filter, and compression is none. And then open up your sprite editor, slice, do grid by cell size, and make sure you do 16 by 16. Slice it, and then apply. I'm not going to do that because I've already done that. Once you've done that, you're going to choose any one of the slimes. Doesn't matter. You can do blue, green, red, or the gray. I'm going to do blue because it's just right here. And I'm just going to drag it out far away from the player because we don't want it to chase the player right away. Once you do this, you're going to see, obviously, it's there, but it's behind everything. So you're going to have to go. You're going to have to go into the sprite renderer here, and you're going to change the sorting layer from default. For now, the player. We're eventually going to make a whole new layer for enemies, but player will be just fine. Then we can change this. I'm going to name him Blue Slime. Then what we need to do is add some components to the slime. So come down here and hit add component. And the first thing we're going to do is add an animator because we're going to need to animate it, obviously. And then we're going to add another component. We're going to be doing a box collider 2D. We're going to edit that collider, and we're going to make that collider roughly the size of the slime. So something like that. Then we're going to add another box collider 2D. This one is going to be a trigger. And then we're going to make this one just a slightly bit bigger than the slime. This is going to be the slime's hurt box. So whenever the player swings the sword, if the sword makes contact with this box, the slime will get hurt. As I've said in previous videos, you kind of want to give a little bit of advantage to the player. You don't want to make it too easy for the player because then they'll be like, oh, I don't want to play it. But then you don't want to make it too difficult because, same thing, they're not going to want to play it if they can't kill the slime when they know they're hitting the slime. So a little box, something like this, just a tad bit bigger, should be just fine. Make sure you ignore my dog. She's not very smart. Anyway, make sure you have this one as a trigger. And yeah, that should be all that we need. So now we can start animating. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our project and we're going to just dock it right there. What happened? Oh, okay. Unity is thinking, apparently. There we go. All right. Then over here, we're going to go to animation. We're going to make sure we have the blue slime selected. And we're going to create our first animation. So when we hit create, it's going to ask us to put it somewhere. We want to back it up to animations. We're going to make a new folder called enemies. And in that folder, we're going to make a new folder called slime. And in that folder, we're going to make a new folder called blue slime. And then in that folder is where we're going to put our animation. Now, as a theme has been through most of my videos, naming is very important. And as you start adding more animations, you'll see here in a bit, there's no easy way to get those animations. Like, even though we're putting them in folders and separating them and organizing them here, when we go to actually add the animations into the animator, you'll notice it pulls up every animation for everything, which, right now is not that bad, but if you have 50 enemies, a whole bunch of other animations for, like, the pots breaking and stuff like that, it's going to be difficult to find what you're looking for. So make sure when you're naming things that you name it in such that you'll be able to find it easily. So we're just going to do B slime idle down. And then we're going to save it. And our very first one is going to be the very first one here if you're doing the blue one. If you're doing the green one, it'll be the first one of the green ones. Red one will be the first one, and the gray one will be the first one as well. So we're just going to drag it and drop it at 0, 0. Then the second one in line, depending on which one you're doing, you're going to grab that, and you're going to drop that at, I believe, 10 seconds. And then you're going to grab that exact same one again and drop it at 20 seconds. Or not seconds, but you know what I mean, the frames. So we're going to hit play. And that looks pretty good. So I think we're going to keep that. So that's idle down. So now we're going to create a new animation. And we'll do B slime idle right, since that's the next one in line there. And we're just going to repeat the process. Oh, grab the wrong one. We want this one. Drop that there. Drop that there. And then drop that there. Play to make sure it looks good. And you guys should be familiar with this process. It is a little bit different than the player, just because the idle actually has animation and the player is not just standing still like the player. So I think I'm going to speed this part up a little bit. So yeah. All right. So once you have your animations, you should have 4 different idles: down, left, right, and up, and 4 different moves: down, left, right, and up. So once you get those animations in, we're going to go up to the animator here, and we are going to delete all of that. We are going to create a parameter over here. We're going to make it a bool, and we're just going to make it simply is moving. And then we need float move x. I usually do lowercase, don't know why I did uppercase there, but move x. And float move y. There we go. So I know I keep harping on naming, but if you name move x and move y and is moving the same here, in code you can attach the same code to all the slimes. So if you plan on having all 4 different color slimes into your game, instead of making different code for each one, you can make one code that you can apply to all 4 of them, as long as whenever you animate these other 3 the same way you just animated this one, as long as you in the animator name it all the same and exactly the same, so lowercase and then uppercase, you'll be able to use the same code for all of those slime, and you will save yourself a crap ton of time, because you won't have to constantly redo code over and over again. So just bear that in mind. Another reason why naming is important. So let's start actually animating the slime. We're going to right click here, hit create, and we are going to create a state from a new blend tree. And we're going to name this one just the idle tree. We are going to click on it. We're going to double click on it. We're going to click on the blend tree itself. And we're going to do blend type 2D simple directional. Then we're going to add 4 motion fields. Actually, let's just add all 8 of them. Should be 8, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Perfect. All right. So let's start with idle down. Now, see, this is what I mean by you're going to get all the animations. So as you add animations, they're just going to all pile in here. They're not going to be separated by folder. They're not going to be anything. So if you remember what you named them, up here in the search bar, you can type B slime idle down, and there it is. So we need to make sure we want down, which I do believe is -1, 0. Oh, nope, I got it backwards. It is 0, -1. There we go. Then we need to do the same thing for here. So be slime idle right. And that should be 1, 0. Then be slime idle up. And this should be 0, 1. Then be slime idle left. And then that should be -1, 0. One thing I forgot to up here is X and move this to move Y. There we go. Now let's work on the diagonals. Just like with the player, you kind of want it to be uniform. If the slime is moving in a diagonal direction, the animator won't necessarily know what to do, and it'll fight between 2 different animations, and it could look funky. So we want to get those diagonals in there. So let's do B slime idle down, B slime idle down, B slime idle right, and B slime idle left. So for the 2 down directions, we want -1, -1. We want 1, -1. Then we want 1, 1. And then -1, 1. And that should cover all 8 directions. As you can see by the little map up here, we got all 4. And that's all we need to do here. So if we go to or all 8, I should say, not 4. If we go back to the base layer, we're now going to right click, create a state from new blend tree. And we're going to name this one the move tree. Now we need to create the transitions from idle to move. So we're going to right click on idle, hit make transition, then click on move, and then we're going to right click on the move, make transition back to idle. Now for these little arrows, we're going to click on the one going from idle to move. There is no exit time, and just to be safe, we're going to get rid of fixed duration. We are going to add a condition, is moving true. And then for the return from move to idle, again, no exit time, no fixed duration. Make the condition is moving false. Now we can go into the move tree, click on the blend tree, change it to 2D simple directional, make sure you change this one to move Y. And same thing, we can add our 8 motion fields. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Perfect. And now we're going to actually do the moving. So B slime, move down. B slime, move right. B slime, move up. Oh, I forgot to actually. B slime, move up. There we go. I have to click on that. There we go. B slime, move left. And then for these ones, B slime, move down. B slime, move down. B slime, move right. And B slime, move left. I didn't do the thing I was supposed to do. So B slime, move left. There we go. All right, and then as before, we gotta do this: 0, negative 1, 1, 0, 0, 1, negative 1, 0, negative 1, negative 1, negative 1, positive 1, or I'm sorry, positive 1, negative 1, positive 1, positive 1, and negative 1, positive 1. And there we go. And that should be all we need to do here. And for now, that's all the animations the slime has. We can get creative with this a little bit later whenever the slime takes damage and have them like blink like between their normal color and like clearish red or, you know, whatever. But for now, this is all we need to do. So if we go to our scene, we notice nothing's really changed with the slime because we didn't do anything script-wise. We're going to save the script for the next video. I just wanted to get the animation set up. What we could do in preparation for the next video is actually get the scripts going. So if we would go down to our assets, go to scripts, right click, create new folder, and just name it enemies. And then inside the enemies, create a folder and just name it slime. But in the enemies, we want a base enemy script because we're going to do some inheritance. So we're going to just create, and we are going to do a, where is it, scripting, mono behavior script, and we're just going to name this base enemy. And in the slime, we're just going to create a script. Hold on, Unity wants to do something first. There we go. And we're just going to call this one slime enemy. And if we really want to get ahead of the game, we can click on our slime enemy once Unity's done doing whatever it's doing. And we can click and drag the slime enemy onto the slime. And now we're set to do the next video. So I'm going to end this video here. If you guys liked it or if you learned anything from it, make sure you give it a big old thumbs up. Make sure you hit the subscribe button as I have videos like this coming out all the time. And with that being said, I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a good one.